Nice to see you all this evening. My name is Garhen, and again this evening we're present a short discussion on the fate of organized religion. And this is a really interesting topic. When you look at the stats that are available, we find out some very interesting things. And we're going to start right from the top. And as I said, we're on Facebook tonight, so we don't have integrated chat, but I can still see it, and Kelly's responsible for answering. So she'll be there. So hello, Jennifer. Hello, Cindy. Nice to see you this evening. How are you doing? Yeah, Kelly's here too. She's over at her computer, and I think she's on the right page this time, so it looks good. So we're going to talk a little bit about organized religion. And according to the latest stats we have, and that is in 2015, currently 1/3 of the world's population are Christian. And of course, that covers all the different variations on Christianity. From Catholicism, which has well over 1.2 billion all by itself, right through to the various Protestant faiths as well. The interesting thing that we find out is that Christianity is actually on the rise in undeveloped nations, particularly Africa, Mexico, South America. And we have to ask ourselves why this is. What is it about third world countries? And, I'm not knocking the good that religion has done, because religion has done quite a bit of good. But it's really a case of perspective, because a lot of the harm that's come about, most of the wars, most of the dissent on our planet is directly relatable to religion. So it's kind of like the cart before the horse routine. Yeah, religion does a lot of good. But at the same time, it has done historically and continues to do great harm. And it is not the people within the vast majority of the churches that are doing this. It really isn't. Most of them are more like sheep. They really just want to be part of a club. They want to show up, and they want to sing with everyone, and they want to make an appearance, and they want to dress up, and they want to feel better about themselves, feel there's some sense to the world, although religion doesn't make a lot of sense to me anymore. It did at one time. And that's why most people are there. But unfortunately, we see at its core how religion is at the basis of even the terrorist wars, the so-called terrorist warfare that we're involved in right now. We claim that God is on our side, that we are the righteous. And so the "my God is bigger than your God" war of words and ego continues. One of the interesting points is that the Muslim faith will outstrip Christianity, and the reason being is Muslims tend to have more children. Now, that's one of the reasons why, and this makes no sense to me at all, okay? That's one of the reasons why there is a huge press by Christianity into undeveloped nations, particularly South America, Mexico, and in Africa. In places where the Muslim faith does not yet have root, Christianity is engaged in a sort of recruiting warfare. And this has been going on for some time. And, it really comes down to the raw numbers. The more children that the Muslims, those who are of the Muslim faith, and of course, let's be clear, a Muslim is someone who follows the Islamic faith, the religion of Islam. Okay, that's the definition of a Muslim. They will outstrip Christians, and they will do so through sheer children alone. In the United States, in North America, actually, there is a decline of roughly 8% of children being born into a religious faith versus the Muslim faith, which is actually on the rise, is +2, +3%. I love the accent. Yeah, Kelly was exposed to that too. She was down that in Tulsa, Oklahoma for Bible college, and yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny, the y'all and roof, and instead of roof, which we say up here, we say roof, and down there it's a roof. And we get so caught up in that, back to the labels. So let's continue on with this here. In the modern world, though, we find that organized religion, particularly Christianity, is actually on the decline. And we have to ask ourselves why it's on the decline. Here's one of the things about religion. When the world was a threat, when the Cold War was on, when major wars are on, whenever there's any sort of catastrophe, people love to flock to the comfort of a church. And the comfort is there to really, assuage the idea that we're responsible for our actions, that we're responsible for it. I mean, of course, God did it. Or if God didn't do it, the devil did it. And if God did it, he did it to punish us and to straighten us out. Or at least there's good reason. And that takes away from our own responsibility with things. And I just can't buy into that. So we ask ourselves, why is it on the decline? Is the rising consciousness of our society part and parcel of it? To a small degree, I would say yes. Although, to be honest, there are a lot of people in religion right now who are waking up. They're just too afraid to leave yet. They don't really want to lose out on the club they're in and the benefits of that club. Yeah, exactly, Kelly. The devil made me do it. Yeah, no, responsibility is on you. No blame, but responsibility. You can't make anyone else responsible for what you choose. One of the big things that influences religion these days, of course, is that there's no time. People are in this crazy economy we live in this greed and monetary, the god of money, which is the true religion that everyone on this planet seems to worship, okay? No one has any time anymore. They're too out there worshiping that god to spend any time in a church focused on the God of Christianity or the God of the Muslim faith. And oftentimes church devolves to a place to make contacts, a place to network, not a place to worship, not a place to explore oneself more deeply. One of the other big issues that contributes to the decline in the modern world, of course, is the validity of Christ as viewed by Christianity is in doubt. And when I say in doubt, I'm being kind. In reality, the validity of Christ as viewed by Christians is burning in flames. It really is. And the ashes are soon going to crumble away, and there's going to be nothing left of that. We are changing as a civilization, as a species. We are evolving. We are reaching this critical point. And during this evolution, the way religion served us in the past is no longer valid. And what's more than that, it's no longer necessary. One of the other big issues in the decline of religion and the decline of membership, in the closing of churches, is that the Bible cannot be taken as God's word. People have moved beyond that now. There's too much evidence, too much proof that that book has been messed with over and over and over again. Is it the divinely inspired of man? In certain cases, absolutely. But certainly not the Word of God. Cindy says, fear of leaving, fear of thinking I could be wrong or following the devil by looking to find out truth outside the church. Yeah, and that's the church's greatest weapon is ignorance. The one thing they do not want, the one thing that angers them the most are questions. And you have to really question your participation in an organization that is afraid to be questioned. that tries to trump any questions by some ridiculous statement like, I mean, we already figured it out. You could not keep a shopping list intact from 2,500 years ago to today. You just couldn't do it. Never mind an entire book of the magnitude that the Bible represents. You just could not do it. So what is the real reason? What is the real reason why we see a decline of organized religion? And the real reason, of course, is that it is contrary to nature. Anything that strives to separate, anything that strives to say that we have the right way, that we have the only valid path, and that no other paths are valid, is something that we have to really watch for. Every path is valid. Every path is a valid path. Every path is an evolutionary path, including the path of religion, should you choose to take it. But at some point, you will step off of that path onto a higher path, onto a new path. But of course, there's some underlying issues with all of the Old Testament biblical Abrahamic faiths, all three of them. The Islamic faith, Christianity, and Judaism. And that, of course, is around the idea that this earth must come to an end. It must be destroyed. And of course, we're not talking about the planet, we're talking about the ability of the planet to sustain us any longer. It no longer serves us. This is one of the reasons why religion is failing. No longer are we willing to sit and listen to a lecture from some 2,000-year-old book about how we're sinners, about how we're doomed if we don't believe a certain way. But yeah, God loves you as long as you do exactly what He tells you to do. Churches have become now more a charitable organization and a cult of separation. Even amongst Christians, they argue and fight and condemn each other to hell over differences in ideology. Idiotology is sorry. In the behavior, the behavior is definitely idiotology. It's not ideology. This call to separation, we simply no longer need anymore. And here's one of the big issues, okay? In this time of consciousness rising, ego is also rising. Collective unconsciousness is also growing. Why? Because we have to reach literally the level 10 trembling earthquake level of conscious tension between those two opposing, well, they're not opposing, those two complementary forces, okay? The unconscious side of ourselves and the conscious side of ourselves. And that big shakeup will cause an explosion. And we will either explode forward or we will blow ourselves backwards. It's all right in either case. Yeah, hey, Pentecostals, Catholics are definitely going to hell. And of course, Catholics have so many levels of hell. Hello, Sue. Nice to see you too. So, the real reason that religion is failing is we are no longer willing to accept this cult of separation. And I have a little story to tell, and this is going to illustrate it for you. A while ago, and I've talked about this before, last summer, and we go through this cycle here in Canada, and we see it all over the world, okay? There's issues with the homeless, and rather than address the problem, which is our society, we of course start addressing the symptoms. And all these things come out. So what I did is I personally phoned and spoke to the minister, pastor, reverend, priest of every single church in Vernon and in Armstrong. There must have been at least 30 that were called. And I asked them to all come together under one banner I ask them to all come together under a banner of compassion for our fellow being and again become the spiritual heart of our community and unite themselves. We didn't have to talk about belief, we didn't have to talk about faith, but we could all agree that the least amongst us needed the most compassion. And I am sad to report that not a single one, not a single church, not a single person, not a single member of their congregations ever showed up. I doubt highly that the pastors and priests and reverends who argued with me against it, who asked what was in it for them, and who said they couldn't if they weren't the headline, the one pushing it, I doubt they even went to their congregation members and let them know. This is the hypocrisy that lies behind the building. This is why churches are failing. This is why in all through the modern world, membership is going down and money coming in is going down, down, down. You know, I have a message for organized religion out there, and this message is particularly addressed to Christians. Your fear will destroy you. Your fear will destroy your institutions. You must evolve or you will die out. You have turned into charities who focus on symptoms. Case in point, here in Vernon we have the Mission. It's ran by the Alliance Church, and the Alliance Church is starting to not do so well. The Mission becomes a driver for the church. The people who need the service are now the bread and butter. Can you not see the issue, the dysfunction inherent within that? Every year I see it, I read it, I hear it more and more. Churches are struggling to find more and more funny, it isn't funny, money, to fight symptoms, to fight homelessness, to fight starvation, to fight all sorts of issues in our society, when in fact the issue is our society. The issue is that lack of consciousness. The issue is that your job to start with was to raise our consciousness, not to serve as a soup kitchen for a society that has no compassion to look after its own. I'm not saying you're going to like this particular message. Quit fighting symptoms. Start working for what you were here to do to start with, before you became perverted, before you became power hungry, before you became separatist, before you looked at another church as an enemy instead of a friend on a different path to the same Creator. Unity. Celebrating each different view of the Creator, the Sufis, the Pentecostals, the Baptists, the Christians, the Buddha. Unity. When you strip it all away, when you take all the crap, all the ideology, all the, forgive me, but bullshit, and chuck it out the door, you are left at its core with one truth that they all hold. We are love. We are loved. We are all children of the same Creator. How dare you separate one from another? How dare you? What arrogance! I watch as Christians judge my wife People who used to proclaim to love her and call her friend and gave birth to her and came out of her womb. These Christians judge her now that she's not a Christian. They judge her unworthy of, she's condemned to hell. I've got news for you. I've got news for all of you Christians. I've got news for all of you in organized religion who would judge anybody. Judgment Day is not here yet, and it is God who will judge if there is to be a judge, not you and not your small, narrow-minded opinion. As I said, not a easy conversation to have, and don't kid yourself. I love every one of you sitting in pews, every one of you sitting behind a pulpit, every one of you sitting in a chair, looking to worship, looking to pray, looking to be a better person. That all exists within you. You don't need to look outside of yourself for it. You don't need to sell yourself out to some false belief that has you hating the fruit of your womb because she no longer believes as you believe. You see, here's the problem. Randall, nice to see you. Much love and namaste to you too. And sorry I didn't catch you on there. Become that spiritual center again. You know, like churches, organized religion has the opportunity to evolve. It has the opportunity to do what we need more than anything else. And that is help raise conscious awareness to band together, not as 20 or 30 separate entities in a community, but as one entity. One entity celebrating all the different paths to God. Why is it so hard? Why can you not give up there is no other word for it, the utter arrogance to think that your pathway could be the only pathway in all of creation home to our Creator? We need you. We need organized religion, not in its current form. We need organized religion as a whole to remind and remember our societies. Exactly. As Randall says, to help deal with the monkey mind. And right now there's way too much monkey mind. Way too much monkey mind going on. You know, we have the opportunity through our organized religions to change the course of our planet. And all as it takes is your evolution. All as it takes is admitting that you were in error to think that your way could be the only way. That's all it takes. You want to be a compassionate organization, you want to show the love of our Creator, then use the power you have to stop the suffering. You see, here's the thing that everyone's forgetting. Over a full 1/3 of the world's population is Christian. Over half of the world believes in a Creator and subscribes to some form of a religion. And these people are the people who are in power. These people are the people behind the guns, behind the food that does not get delivered, behind the policies. We have watched in our own town as fundamental, old school, hick town farmer Christians have done everything they can to make sure that marijuana will not find its way into Armstrong when it becomes legal here. Why? Not because they're supposed to serve the community, but because on the level of their religion, they don't like it and they're going to fight it. And these people are in positions of power. And if you don't think this is going on all over the world, it is. Regularly, on a day-to-day basis, I've ran into it firsthand. You know, I once tried to have a weekend discussion on Christ, and I went down to post it on the free board in the library. And it needed to be approved for some reason. And when I went in to ask, I finally found out that the person who approved it or disapproved it, and in this case they disapproved it, was a Christian and a regular church member, and had disapproved of it simply based on that alone. We don't need this anymore as a species. We really don't. We can move beyond this sort of behavior. And the organized religions of today have an opportunity to become the catalysts for that. You can become that spiritual center. You can become that place where people can come to share in honest love and joy and celebration all the different pathways back home. And learn about unity again. Learn about compassion. You see, we speak out of the corner of our mouths. We talk about compassion in churches at the same time that we turn a blind eye to what's going on right down the road. You know, Kelly asked me one day, she said, well, is it possible to have honor sometimes and at other times not have honor? And I said, no, that's called convenience. You either are honorable or you are not honorable. You either are compassionate or you are not compassionate. It's never what you're showing. It's what's going on that deeper level within you, and that's where we need to look. And I have seen far too many Christians, as soon as they find out that you don't believe that Jesus is the only Son of God, the conversation ends. They turn cold. They're no longer interested in speaking to you anymore. Or if they do, it's solely to now convert you, because you're doomed. We have enough of that going on writ large in our world right now. Whole races of humans, whole tribes, whole members of our species being wiped out under the name of not serving the God that they do. And what does that do? It somehow makes them different. And you see, that's the problem. As soon as we've made somebody different, we can no longer empathize with them. We can no longer understand what's going on with them. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Invite them to the Egyptian Museum at the Vatican. You know, I spoke on the one video before when I actually had access to the first level of the Vatican archives. It's that second level that you can never get into, that you'd really, really love to see. And who knows, maybe the day will come. You know, it really comes down to this. And I'm not saying religion is doing this intentionally, although at some level it is, conscious of it or not. But religion is both a doorway to our evolved future and a chasm that we can fall into that will send us back into the Stone Age. And I would ask every single member of a church community, every single person who would see this that was or is a member of a particular church or a particular faith, please send this to them. You know, this isn't about bashing people. This is about the recognition that it is time to evolve. It is time to drop the old ways. It is time to stop reading out of a 2,500-year-old an older book and start reading out of some current material about some of the things that matter today. And the first place it has to begin is ending the separation between each and every one of us. We are all children of the Creator. Organized religion could end war on this planet tomorrow. No more war. No more war. All as it would take is every single religious leader to stand up and say definitively that upon deep contemplation and meditation, they have come to understand that every single one of us are God's children, and that it is never acceptable to kill one of our own. Never. For any reason. As always, we have all the power. As always, we've had all the control. As always, we are directly responsible for the world we live in today. Not some deity on the throne. It's not God's fault. It's not the devil's fault. The devil doesn't even exist. Hell does not exist. And there certainly is no old Zeus-like figure sitting on a throne somewhere. There is a glorious sea of consciousness which loves and manifests us all. Can we not try to see that at a minimum in each other? Can we not simply focus on the divinity in every single one of God's children? This would be my profound wish. And the end of the video. Hopefully some food for thought. Much love, namaste to you all. Looking so forward to seeing you on Sunday, working our little butts off. And I promise, for the 10 a.m. Sunday on the Help Awaken YouTube channel, I'm going to have lots of pictures of the pond and the deck that I've been so diligently working on. It's far from finished, but I'm going to show some pictures. Exactly. You know, Randall, good point. Man fears his own reflection. He calls it the devil. Makes perfect sense. Namaste to you all. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for being here. We love it. Hope you've enjoyed it. And as always, take care.